So in the retail sales world, there's this idea of peak selling seasons. Think Easter for Halloween. Huge sales during certain times of the year. With our product, Switchback Foods, we are more of a health and wellness product, right? We talk about fruits and veggies and that we're better for you than other things out there, which to us, it really correlates with January because January is the month that so many people across the country really care about health and wellness. They care about getting back in shape. And they prioritize products like ours. So today, we're going to walk through our January 2024 business update with you guys. Did our hypothesis come true? Did we see the sales that we were hoping to see? What did we learn? What did we mess up on? And so much more coming to you right now. Here we go.
Matt, today we're going to talk about something. We're going to talk about the business update for January, which was, I don't know. I mean, I was pretty excited when January 31 rolled around and I was looking at those numbers. We had some headwinds, we had some challenges, and we had some unfavorable conditions. However, we are coming off of what I would say is our best month yet, which we're going to dive into. Matt is the numbers guy, so he's going to probably walk you through some of those. But Matt, what do you think, aside from January 1? Because weirdly enough, most of our sales really came in the middle of January. We didn't see that January 1 through 5 influx. It was really like January 10 to 24, January 10 to 25. What do you think was the reason behind that January 10 to 25th, and what led us to our best month yet?
Well, I think part of it is we're still figuring out who it is that we're talking to and serving. And by we, I mean the algorithms are still trying to figure out who wants to buy our product, right? We're still only a few months into really advertising here. I wonder too, like on the Amazon front, we didn't have that much budget dedicated towards Amazon, which I'm just wondering if that would have been a big spark for us if January 1st we hit that super hard and had tons of inventory and went after that channel as well. And I think maybe people just the first week of the new year, they're still figuring out what the hell are they going to do and what is their new routine and what do they need and what do they want to be eating and drinking and doing. And once they figure that out, because people are lazy and procrastinate, they seemed a lot more ready to start buying products like ours.
Yeah, and for those of you that are listening and following this journey, one of the things that we talked about, Matt mentioned the Amazon piece and what could have happened. We pulled all of our product off of Amazon starting in November. So they pulled the product. They didn't sell the product. We didn't really get it delivered back to us until, the middle of January. But we pulled the product because we had some issues around our packaging. And that left us for, 97% of January with literally no product we could sell. Yeah. If you typed in Switchback produce powder, Switchback green smoothies on Amazon, you would see our stuff. Show up. Yeah, it wouldn't even show up, would it?
No. And you couldn't find our, no matter what you searched on Amazon, because we were completely out of stock for part of the month. You couldn't even go to our page. It didn't exist.
In Amazon, Matt, you said something interesting. What did you say that was really interesting when we were talking with our Amazon company? What was it that Amazon was starting to do to us early on because of how many people were driving to Amazon?
Well, Amazon we're learning a lot more about this channel because it's its own beast. But if you are able to drive traffic to Amazon, external traffic that is not driven there by Amazon paying for ads, and they're going to your brand page and buying stuff, Amazon loves that. And they're going to give you a whole bunch of extra love and start pushing your products even harder if you're able to help bring people into their ecosystem.
Yeah, and we were driving a lot of people into that ecosystem in November and December, and then it all dropped off, and now Amazon is not necessarily really trying to be our friend, but they will be here soon, because even though we're doing January, the interesting part, Matt, you and I hand-packed a bunch of product, got it sent in. Matt, what happened?
We sold out of it.
Almost instantly. Even the company that we use came back and said to us, and this was actually the end of January. This was a week ago. The guy goes, when can we get more 7-packs shipped to Amazon? I'm like, well, hopefully soon. He goes, because this stuff's not shipping for 2 weeks and it's completely sold out. I mean, we sold out of this stuff within 2 days of having it back on Amazon. Now, okay, we didn't let the world on fire. It was 20 units, but still, we're moving significant volume through the Amazon category.
We sent in 83 packs or something like that.
Yeah,
and we're out of those.
Are we out of them?
We have 3 left, maybe.
Oh my gosh! Woof.
I think maybe the obvious question is, okay, how do we keep running out of product? We're documenting our journey, and the whole point is learn from us. So why are we out of product, and what are we doing to make sure that we stay full on Amazon moving forward?
Well, there's a couple of reasons, and this really is January business, right? Because at the end of the day, one of the problems that I'm just going to throw this out there. Problem number one is I'm not really a data fiend, and that may have prevented it if I'd understood, not necessarily on the Amazon front, more on our e-com front. One is, if you're starting, but you need to be all over these numbers. You need to be looking at inventory every single day and adjusting inventory, having more product kitted, more product moved. That's a big piece of it. Number two, though, in this case, and this is something that you can't really, Matt, I mean, I don't know. I don't think we could have foreseen this, and I don't think many businesses would have foreseen this. We just have a really shitty co-packer. The co-packer we used damaged a lot of our product, left a lot of sachets severely leaking, and so we pulled all the product out. We are having to pay our 3PL, our fulfillment company, an astronomical amount of money to go through pallets of product and identify good product from bad product. So if you're watching the YouTube channel, you'll see, I'm holding this piece up right here. I mean, this would be identified as a bad seal. You may not think it's a big deal, but I do. And so it takes them a long time to go through each pallet by hand. Right now, what we found is about 80 to 85% don't meet our spec set forth by packaging experts in the industry, which means that we're paying them to go through all this product, and we're getting 15 to 18% of the product is actually usable. So we're kitting it as quick as we can and shipping it into Amazon, but it's still leaving us severely lacking. So we had another shipment go to Amazon a couple days ago, and we're waiting for them to start kitting more product, but they got to go through it all by hand, which is, to go through 2 pallets of product or actually 6 pallets, 2 pallets of each. That's a 1 to 1.5 week ordeal for our co-packer, or not co-packer, for our fulfillment company, because it is. They are looking at these things. They're looking at them intensely and scrutinizing the crap out of these because we can't have bad product going back into the market.
So what is the big takeaway? How do we assume that product is fine? If we had ample inventory, do you think we still would have ran out?
If we'd had ample inventory, I don't think we would have run out, because we would have been able to stay up with. No, Matt, if we'd had ample inventory, we would not have run out, because the company we're working with that helps us with Amazon, they're on top of this stuff. They send me inventory levels, inventory reports. And this is a weird situation where we're between a rock and a hard place. We're sitting there going, can we do this? Can we not do this? We got attorneys involved. It's this nasty nightmare scenario that I wish upon nobody. That said, though, if we had enough product, if we had a warehouse right next door with 12 pallets of product, no way in hell we would run out on Amazon unless there were supply chain issues and we couldn't get new product made. Because we were going to be able to see in real time when they hit a certain inventory level, the way that the firm that we use has it, when you hit a certain inventory level, they tell you to ship more product. They've been telling me since December. We have just been in a legal stranglehold until about January 7th, but that still continues to some extent.
I think we do have the agency helping us. Part of me wonders, though, if we still would have ran out, only because I don't know that they keep telling us that we're going to do great, we're going to do great, we're going to do great, we're going to have big numbers, we're going to start selling, numbers that are bigger than we can even imagine. I think it's sometimes hard to trust that that's going to come to fruition when you compare it to our Shopify store and our online store that we're trying to manage ourselves. how can Amazon grow so fast, so quick, so big?
Well,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but here's the other caveat. Here's the other challenge, though. If you are starting a brand and you are going to put it on Amazon, I learned this. Like when we were kitting up product back in September, I was like, let's kit up like 10,000 units. And then the guy's like, dude, you can't do that. Amazon actually limits for a new product, a new company, how many units you can send in. So we sent in the max we could send in. We sold through pretty much all the 3-packs and all the 7-packs, all the 21s we pulled back. So to some extent, there is that limitation. But you're right. Like the numbers that this company throws at us, you sit there and you go, can this actually be like, if this is real, we're going to be multi-thousandaires by the end of the year. If it's not real, we're going to be spending a lot of money with Amazon to pull product back or have them dump it. So the weird part, though, and someone's going to correct me on this, but I want to say it's like 45% or 50% of all e-commerce transactions go through Amazon.
Yeah,
it's staggering.
I had heard yesterday, I was talking with some other people who have 8-figure stores. I mean, they're big e-commerce companies. And the goal that they try to get to is about 60% of sales come through their own channels and 40% come through Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, that lines up, right? And the guy the reference that I called when we were looking at this company last summer, he owns a coffee company and he sells on his website, he sells on Amazon. And I think you looked at me like I was absolutely crazy after I talked to him. The guy said to me, he goes, I would spend $1,000 a day on Amazon ads and spend $500 on Google and everywhere else in total, like $500 a month. And I'm like, what? He goes, Amazon is where people buy this product.
Yeah.
Case in point, I sold 2 21-packs to someone down the street from me. And the lady was asking me, she goes, where do I get this? And I'm like, well, our website or Amazon. She goes, Amazon. And I'm like, what? She goes, Amazon. She goes, we get so much stuff delivered from Amazon. She goes, almost all of our food comes through Amazon. Like we just have it auto delivered. Like every week we know we're getting a new case of this, a new case of that. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. It completely makes sense. So, I mean, what you think about it, how many e-commerce transactions go on a day? A staggering amount, and 45% of that come through Amazon? That's a mind trip.
And so, I mean, January was still really good for us on our own website. It's just that Amazon piece, I really think it could have probably been 5 times higher than where we actually were. And the kind of, it is what it is, but we're not going to be back fully on Amazon and cranking until probably March. Or do you think we're going to be back in a week or two in February going?
I mean, I think we can have a lot of product and be ready to rock scratch that, erase it, wipe it away, March. Because at the end of the day, right, it's going to take a little bit of a ramp up, which we're going through. We're sending more product in. We got more product hopefully going in next week or the week after. By the time it's all said and done, it's March. I mean, that's one life lesson that I've learned building a business. If you think it's going to take you 30 days, it's going to take you 90. If you think it's going to take you 90, it's going to take you a year. And so in this case, if I think we're going to be up and running in 2 weeks, it's going to be 6 weeks. Plus, the other thing, Matt, right? We got our new packaging coming out. We are 14, 15 days away from shipping this stuff to a co-packer.
Yeah.
Part of me too is like, hey, let's limp by until we get the new packaging, because at least then we can submit 1,000 units and say, hey, go conquer the world. Let's rock. Right now, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I got some PTSD from sending this product to Amazon.
Yeah, and I know we're kind of we're only talking Amazon right now and the struggles that we had there. We had a good it still was a really good month for us. All that aside, I think where I get excited is, okay, if we can keep cranking on Shopify, keep cranking on the marketing channels that we're going after, and really turn Amazon on in a month or two, man, like we're really going to be set up for 2024. And when we start doing some of the retail activations and trying to sell this into the grocery stores and the club and everybody else, like there is a huge bright light at the end of the tunnel. It's just the tunnel's really long.
Matt, I think it's probably the craziest piece of it, right? Is we have an amazing opportunity. It's going to take time. It's going to take spending some money, and it's going to take some confidence, right? Like you said something interesting a little bit ago about, it's tough to believe what they say. I mean, when I met with these guys, one of the reasons why I love this firm was they're like, hey, here is the tier up schedule. Boom, 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 boom. Here's how we do it. Boom, 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 boom. And it made sense. It wasn't like this hockey stick. All of a sudden you're doing $100,000 a month. It's not realistic.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they tossed around like they want to get us, as quickly as possible to $50,000 a month in revenue on Amazon. I mean, that we're, frankly speaking, between their fee and the ads and our cost of the product, we're not making money at that. We got to be a lot bigger than that, right? But we also doing $40,000 a month allows us to cover a lot of. We're moving products. We're converting to cash. Good things are happening. So quicker we can get to that 40K, 40, 45, 50K a month, I think we're going to be in great shape, which is going to be awesome.
Anything else stand out before we get into actual numbers and like what worked and what didn't? Anything else about January stand out to you?
From my perspective, the amount of orders. I mean, I don't know the exact number of new users coming on, but it was a staggering amount compared to months prior. I will also say, when I think about it, like what was it? What a better way to put it, Matt, was like what am I amazed by in January? Like what caught me off guard?
Yeah,
I would say the amount of orders middle of the month was shocking to me. The other one that really caught me off guard was how many people went from a 7 to a 21 within 7 to 10 days. The amount of repeat customers jumping into that 21 pack was really amazing to me, and it was a higher percentage than what I initially thought.
Awesome.
How about you? I know you've got a lot of takeaways from it. What did you see, and what caught you off guard in January?
I think for me, the big takeaway for January is that we've got to really just hone in on who we're talking to and what we're talking about. And I know we'll talk more about this in other episodes, but we had a hypothesis on who would be buying our product and who our ideal customer was, and it's turning out that that's not the case. We thought it was dads. We thought we could convince dads like us that nutrition matters, and we have an easy solution for you. And I think that's a really hard demographic to crack, and we're seeing a whole lot of moms really like this product, and that makes me, anyways, as the marketing guy, really think like, oh crap, what do we do differently here? So that was kind of probably the biggest wrench, I guess, thrown my way was who are we talking to and how do we talk to them moving forward? And we're still, you and I mean, all week we've been talking about that in the office. We're still trying to figure that piece out.
Yeah, I mean, I pulled up a Shopify just so we can put that out there. You talk about what percentage, women versus men. Of our last 15 orders, 3 were men. The rest are women. And our advertising, I mean, we spent money, in December, November, whatever, really going in hard on the women, or on the men, changing some stuff. And it's proven. I mean, this is definitely, I think, going to be more of a female-driven product and really kid-focused as well because of the nutrients. But we can discuss that later.
Yeah, I was looking over one of the creative briefs that we have with our agency. This is for specifically on the email side and our approach when we create emails. And this is what it says. Our key message and the overall goal of all the copy that we create for emails, it should live into this. For the active man, Switchback is a smoothie mix brand that offers fast, healthy, real food so that customers consume their delicious, unadulterated nutrition without the mess or added sugar, because Switchback is made by former athletes for the athlete in all of us. How confusing does that sound, Oli, based on the last couple of weeks of conversation that we have had?
I mean, it was a good thesis, but this is also a good lesson that you just need to be able to pivot.
It's like a different company.
What's up?
It's like a different company wrote that.
No, it's kind of crazy, right? Because that doesn't even sound like us right now.
No.
And I mean, if you can be in Matt's head, my head, I mean, we are literally all about getting in front of the women and the kids now, because that is the demographic we're seeing. I mean, I was telling Matt, I got a handful of people in the last month that have sent me a video of their kid drinking this, and like, oh my gosh, like my kid won't give this back to me.
Yeah.
And I mean, which is interesting, Matt, and I know this isn't really business update, but it's kind of a weird thing to travel on. Where I got so lost in this, I don't know, because at the end of the day, this was developed by my 5-year-old daughter and I. She was my taste tester at the kitchen counter. My kids drink these every single day, not because we force them. I mean, our middle son we do, because he would literally just eat Golden Grams and mac and cheese. But my other kids love these. And I think there's like power in that, in admitting that, and saying, why was I trying to deviate from like what's right in front of me? Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I know we're testing and learning and trying a whole bunch of stuff. So I mean, I wish we had an actual like this is the lesson to learn here if you're watching us on YouTube. But you know, I think the lesson is just be open and see what people are like, who is resonating with what you're putting out there and who's buying your stuff, and like who really loves it that you didn't expect to, and is that an untapped opportunity of people that you can go after?
That, and I think one of the big lessons from January on my standpoint was Matt. You've heard Matt and I talk about this. Like, we butt heads a lot. We argue with each other. I think a lot of times, like we should probably get some boxing gloves in here so we can just like actually fucking fight. But it's one of those things where Matt has been saying since last summer, Ole, you use way too much logic. You need to use more emotion. And I've always stayed away from the emotion because in my mind, the emotion, I always felt like it was to some extent misleading people. And that was a big change in January and early February here, is listening to Matt just harp on me about like, dude, the logic is not going to make sense to most people. We need to tap into the emotion. We had a phone call with someone last Friday, Matt. What was one of the first things he said? He bought a 21 pack. He brought it into his office and he's been drinking it. What did he say in that phone call?
Well, the first thing he said was, your product's actually good because the office drank it too, and it's almost all gone. So that's a good sign. What he was talking about though, so the guy, he's, I don't know, in his 40s. He's like Ole and I. He consumes this sort of stuff. He works out. He's an active guy. And he tried it, and he said, A, it tastes really good. But B, what I was really impressed with and happy and surprised about is about an hour after I had it, I just felt energized. I didn't feel full. I felt like I just felt better after having this. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's not a logic that, like, you can't, Ole and I can't scientifically say why that is. It's just, it is. It's his reaction and his feeling and his experience with it, which, I don't know, interesting.
I've always stayed away from that because I guess, you know, in my former life, it was always about definitive.
Yeah, features and benefits.
Yeah, everything was features and benefits. And now I'm in this world where it's feel better. I mean, if I think back to one of the first kids outside of my core group of friends was a lady that I know. Her daughter drank it. I sent her like 5 samples, and this was before I was mass producing them. And she came back, she called me. She's like, "Hey, my daughter loves these." I'm like, "Really?" And so she goes, she doesn't eat breakfast. She fights me on it. She wants one of these. And her big thing to me was, "Mom, like, I feel so good at school after having these." And that's the consistent theme I hear. But I've always been afraid because I've always felt like it's intangible. So
yeah,
you got to be willing to listen to guys like Matt tell you you're an idiot and you need to pivot. Because otherwise, you're going to destroy a company.
I think you're
trying
giving
to just
me
do
a little
feature
too
and
much
benefit.
credit. I don't know half of the shit that I should or wish I did.
Yeah, but it boils down to, I mean, January, we had a lot of conversations in the office about where we're taking this and why we're taking it that way, as opposed to, I don't know, like, we could sit there and stroke each other's egos and be like, "Oh man, you're so good. Like, great job, Matt. You did awesome." But it's if we're not arguing over something, I would actually be really afraid in the office, because that's where we come up with the great ideas. And they'll go, "Oh, well, shit, like, I never thought about it. Oh, thanks for helping me come to that conclusion. Like, I didn't think about it that way." That's imperative. And I think about January, numbers aside, all that stuff, it was a tremendous month for our growth as founders of the business, because I think we learned a lot, and we realized like we do need to change things, and here's how we're going to change them.
Should we go through numbers a little bit?
Dive in, baby.
So we're just talking Shopify specific here. Again, there's other channels and other things, but just to keep things simple, this is the easiest way to sort of track every month how things are working. We did $9,500 in sales. We'll call it 10,000 because why not? That just makes it a little easier to talk. So we're up 90% to last year or last month, which I think was pretty sweet. We, every single day, even though Oli mentioned this at the beginning, it felt like the first couple of days or the first week was slow. It really wasn't. We had sales every single day in January, which was really cool to see. We had one day, Oli, where we sold $1,300 of product. Do you remember that?
Oh, I remember that. I still want the guy to reach out and tell me what he did with all that product.
Yeah, that was great. It was one guy. We don't know if he bought it for a resort, a lodge, for other people, but he had 3 separate orders, and we checked to make sure it wasn't fraud. But 3 orders at like $400 each. It was kind of crazy.
I mean, he single-handedly bought more bottles than anybody else.
Oh yeah, he bought a bunch of shaker bottles.
Yeah, he bought like 12 shaker bottles.
When we look at where the sales came from, so call it 8,000. So almost 80% of our sales came from directly to the online store. We had a little over $1,000 in subscriptions. And we're starting to see, so Meta and TikTok have shops on their platforms where when you're on Instagram scrolling through whatever, you can see a product pop up or an ad pop up or an influencer will talk about a product and you can buy it right on their platform. We saw $550 of purchases from Meta, primarily Instagram shop. And we are just starting to get into TikTok shop. So I think these other, and we don't have Amazon in here because it doesn't flow through Shopify. It's its own complete separate beast. But 80% of our revenue came from our Shopify page. I really think in the next 6 months, it's going to be like 30% through our Shopify page. I think it's going to be like 40% of our revenue comes from Amazon. And I think the rest is going to come from TikTok and Instagram shop.
Yeah, I mean, that unto itself right there is pretty staggering. So it'll be interesting, Matt, to watch from January where we really only had product on Shopify to what it is in 6 months. Where is that dispersion of product sales? So I can't wait to come back and look at that. Look at that prediction today in 6 months and see how accurate you are.
What else sort of stands out? You mentioned orders. So we had 163 orders through Shopify, which is almost 100% increase. Like Oli mentioned, we are starting to finally see people that come in through entry products, like a 7-pack or a 3-pack on Amazon, find the flavor they like and then upgrade to a 21-pack. Or we've had a couple people even go to the 150 count. So our hypothesis was that variety pack was the way to get people to enter into the product and into the brand and the community. And once they found what they really liked, that they would pick a flavor or two and then become their monthly purchase. And that hypothesis is starting to prove itself out. Super cool. Thoughts? I thought you were gonna say something.
No, sorry, I was coughing. I'm fine. By the way, I'm finally on the tail end of the cold, like a just very infrequent, shitty cough. I'm pretty stoked. Finally back to normal life.
Good. I'm glad. My family is sick again.
Dude, your family's sick again?
Yeah, it seems like it's never gonna end.
What happened this time?
I don't know. Amanda hasn't figured out if she's gonna go to the doctor and she had strep a couple weeks ago and she thinks it came back.
How do you handle your kids in sickness with your wife? Like, what's your? Because I think this is interesting as dads, right? We have stressful day jobs. You got 2 day jobs. How do you deal? Like, what is your like? If your wife is sick and your kids are sick, like, how do you deal with that?
Well, I think my schedule is a little easier than most people in that I have total flexibility for the most part. So, I mean, during school days, it's a little easier to send the kids to school, and Amanda just sort of hangs out and let her rest and recover, and then I can be home to get the kids after school or pick them up from their after school stuff, and then it's, shuffle them around wherever they have to go that night. But Amanda does the same thing. If I'm sick, she's really flexible with her schedule too. And it's just focused on the kids and not what I want to be doing. It is what I don't do what I would do otherwise. I just hang out with the kids and let Amanda rest.
No, I mean, I think it's fascinating because we are incredibly lucky. I think anybody that has a spouse where you have some flexibility like that, like I can't imagine 40 years ago where like you had to be in the office.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, like your wife is sick and she has to take care of the kids. And like, it's just nuts because we're coming off of a week. It was just over 8 days of vomiting in our house with the kids. Thank God my wife and I didn't get it. And then we had a lot of diarrhea in the family. Unfortunately, some of that was not in the toilet. So that made for some very fun experiences. But yeah, I mean, like we literally, like, it was like 3 weeks. It was boom, 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 boom. And now we're on the mend, knock on wood.
Yeah.
And everybody's happy and healthy. So we're going to enjoy this 52-degree weather day in February and just enjoy the shit out of it.
Exactly. You and I, well, I'm lucky. Right now, your parents aren't here, but our family's super close too. So if we really, really need something, family certainly can hop over and help. And we have some really awesome neighbors too. We're lucky. We're lucky in how we have to handle stuff like this.
I love it. Well, let's jump back in. If you hopefully your family's happy and healthy and not struggling by the time you listen to this out there. But let's jump back into those numbers.
So I think there's a couple other things that really stand out to me that we need to keep track of because I think it's going to be a bigger theme over the next few months. First of all, when you look at where people are coming to the website from social channels, we had the vast majority of people coming to our website from Facebook. So a little over 1.3 or 1,300 people. But the scary thing, odd thing, weird thing about the way that tracking works is that number shows it's down 50%, and that the rest of the traffic was just pure direct. So I don't know. What that's saying is last month we had almost 3,000 people come to the website through Facebook and 2,000 direct people, and now that's basically flipped where we have over 3,000 direct people coming to the website and barely over 1,000 Facebook. So I don't know if people are finding us through Facebook and through social and then they remember us or bookmark us or go in their history or something and they just come directly to the website. I think that's what that means.
That's a wild flip. Is that? I mean, I know we got a phone call coming up on Wednesday with the agency. Is that normal?
I don't know. I'm assuming it is, but what I don't like about it, or what I find not normal, is we control for the most part how much traffic comes from Meta to the website in terms of how much ad we spend. I would think our sessions would be at least flat. Like we would be getting the same amount of people or more, that our ads would be getting better. So I don't like seeing that Facebook number literally drop in half of where it was. Instagram down in terms of sessions sending people to our website. Overall traffic flat. Like there's a couple things there that make me cautious. Now, the way that it's been explained to me is that the traffic that is coming can be down because we're sending better qualified people to the website. But
wait, stop right there. How the hell do you determine what's a better, like that's one thing you said that before. Is that just hyperbole bullshit from a marketing firm? Is there actually a way to determine better traffic?
Well, I mean, think of it this way. If you look at our conversion rate for people that come to our website, it was up 100% month over month. So we convert. So of the traffic that came to our website, call it a little over 2% of them actually bought. And in December, that number was only 1%.
What is it trending at right now? I mean, I realize we're 7 days in, but what is it trending at right now in Feb?
Well, if I just look at the last 7 days, we're at 1.8.
So not terrible. We're down, but not terrible. Even though the traffic, help me understand something. Traffic to our website is down significantly, but our conversion rate is remaining right in that high 1.
The last 7 days compared to the prior 7 days, traffic is up. It gets a little wonky. I think looking at it month over month is the best way for this.
Yeah, no worries. Let's focus on January then. I apologize. I once again took you, derailed you, hit you in the head with a shovel, and expected you to figure out what you were doing.
So I think where I was going with it is we're seeing a shift in where people are coming to the website from. And I want to make sure that we are really pushing paid search as our number one. It's not normally the number one, but for us it is because we're young and we're new. And I don't know how we would be getting that much of a boost in direct traffic unless, like I said earlier, it's just people that have been to the website before that are coming back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely.
I think the other one, Oli, I'm not saying do anything differently here. I'm just saying we only had 6 people come to the website from LinkedIn in January, which
that's wild.
Is down. I mean, we had 40 people in December come, so LinkedIn may or may not be a driver for us long term. It's just last month it didn't really do much of anything at all.
Well, and that's an interesting point, right? Because we've talked about like you can build a brand and business through LinkedIn, but it's never going to be the main drive. It's going to be extremely difficult in a B2C space to be the main driver, at least from everything that I personally have talked with people about and the podcasts that I've listened to. So I think we could do a whole podcast on that, Matt, of talking about is it effective and is it worth consistently posting? I think it is. I mean, we get engagement. People see my stuff. I get new followers. Like, it takes time. I think the other piece too to that point is, you know, the wonderful Gary V. Matt, we've talked about this many times, but like I think he had a post, like he posted 3,000 pieces of content, and I literally said like I posted 3,000 pieces of content before anybody gave a shit. So for me, I've been consistently posting on LinkedIn since Matt kicked me in the balls last August and said, dude, you need to do this. I mean, I don't know, maybe I got 100, 125 posts under my belt. What's that going to look like when I've got 5,000 posts, 10,000 posts, something like that? I don't know. I think it'd be really interesting to see.
I think it is going to be interesting to see, and it's something that I think part of why I hope you're hanging out with us and listening to us is that we are doing the normal, quote unquote, normal e-com things, but we're also trying a lot of random shit that other companies haven't done or don't really do all that much. LinkedIn, for us, it's the only platform that Oli and I actually have somewhat of a following on. We're both a little over 2,000 followers, connections, whatever. So when we post stuff there, we get way more interaction and way more reach than we do on anything else, which is why we're even talking about it in the first place. But it's just something we'll definitely track. I do think this is interesting, not to scare or be a Debbie Downer or anything, but the number of entrepreneurs that I follow and know on LinkedIn specifically that have shut down their operations in the last month is just crazy. A lot of them are food companies and brands not like ours, but I mean CPG food companies, and a lot of these people have big followings on LinkedIn where, again, not that necessarily matters. I was surprised that they have that big of an e-com presence and they're shutting down shop.
Really?
Yeah.
Any idea why?
Well, I think some of it is that the products are wonky and don't make a ton of sense to me. And I think the craziness of 2020 to 2023 of you could put basically anything in the world and it would sell, maybe caught up to them. I think the other thing is that they're not really well capitalized and it's really hard to get money right now.
What's the wonkiest product that you're referencing? I'm really curious.
There's a lot of mocktails. There's a lot of like beverage mixes for mocktail type things where
interesting.
It's like, not a necessity, not even like not that exciting. So it was a lot of things like that, and then it was just this like protein crazed cookie dough type stuff or bars or just like another protein product in an already crowded space.
You know, Matt, it's kind of funny. My LinkedIn post this morning, you probably didn't see it because I posted right before we started recording this, but it was funny. I said 12% of Americans get 1 cup of vegetables. 60% live with a chronic disease due to lifestyle and diet. And then when you think about this, 4.5% of a household budget that goes to food is spent on fruits and veggies. 4.2% is spent on alcohol, and 6 to 10% is spent on fast food. So you think about that, like alcohol and fast food are two areas that are probably never going to go down, not going to drop unless you have an addiction like I do and you decide like, hey, dude, I can't drink anymore. So I mean, I see all these mocktails and all these non-alcoholic beverages, and like one of them that I was laughing, like, what the, like non-alcoholic vodka? Who the fuck wants not vodka's disgusting to begin with. Who wants to sip on a non-alcoholic vodka?
Right.
For 3 hours. Like
that's what I'm saying.
That shit doesn't make sense to me.
I don't understand the long-term viability of a brand like that. I'm sure they can make something quick and splashy, and maybe they exist for a year or two because they can be buzzy and exciting online. But long-term, like you said, most people don't like vodka. They like the effect of vodka, and so why the hell would I drink non-alcoholic vodka? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's on a little bit of a side note, but I'm sure someone out there listening to this is either wanting to get in the cannabis industry, but it kind of reminds me, Matt, of like 2017, 2018, 2019. There was this massive push into the cannabis because a lot of these states started legalizing recreational cannabis. And so what you saw happen was everyone's like, well, I can make a bunch of money because I know how to build a building and put grow lights in. And I've got a friend, and the guy was going around working for a private equity fund. He was buying these cannabis companies for literally cents on the dollar. Because these guys would go in, they'd be like, I can do this. Like Tommy's making $1 million a year with this cannabis. And I think that is one of the things that you see even in food. And luckily, like that wasn't my mindset. I never looked at a competitor and be like, oh, it's so easy. It was like, no, this is my idea. This is my passion. This is why I'm doing it. And I think that's the essence of like, if you want a business to go and you're willing to stick it out to the thick and thin, you can't be doing it just to make a bunch of fucking money. Because that's a stupid reason to be in business as an entrepreneur, because you're not going to want to stick it out through the miserable times, which, by the way, that's 98% of the time. Right? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think we were just talking about this morning. You cannot start a business just to be different. You may have a slightly different tweak on something, but to convince people to go into a brand new product like these, there's a lot of these cookie dough type products right now that are supposed to be better for you. Or
Matt, I know this isn't even related to business update. What are you talking about? This is like literal protein cookie. Explain this to me, because I've never heard of it.
I'll show you afterwards. That's not the point. The point is that it's hard to convince people to do new things and try new things and eat new things and have new food habits. So if you're thinking of starting a food company and you've got this idea to be wild and crazy and do something never heard of, like it's really damn hard to do that. You are better off going after a product that people are familiar with and creating your take on it, your brand, your spin, your reason for being to get people to appreciate you and who you are. I think that's the more viable long-term option than trying to convince people to do something brand new.
No, I I like it, and I think that was, at the end of the day, the genesis behind my friend Mr. Switchback was people already drink smoothies, they eat smoothies, and it's just trying to make it. I wasn't trying to recreate a wheel. Initially, I was, though. I don't know if did I ever tell you the initial concept? Or if real quickly, because this is kind of fascinating, because it ties into that. I had this idea of a 12-ounce bottle with 8 ounces of water and a tube hanging from the center. And then the powder would be inside the tube and it would be sealed. So you could walk into a store, you could rip it, you could grab it, rip it open, pour it in, shake it, and off to the races you went. And someone initially early on was like, well, what about naked juice? I'm like, yeah, but the problem with any of those juices is, A, they separate, which is like a natural inhibitor to most people wanting to grab them, pick them off the shelf. And number two, if you grabbed it and you threw it in your car, there would be no issue if it sat at 140 degrees while you're out golfing, because it's just water and it's not mixed yet. So I did that, though, Matt, because I wanted to be different. And then I realized, like, oh shit, being different, A, doesn't make you necessarily unique, and B, it's really expensive to be different. It's extremely expensive to be different, which thank God we got away from, because I mean, it would have been really bad.
I think if that was the product idea that I saw for the first time, I don't think I'd be here.
Well,
good luck.
interest. Yeah. So like, it was probably like 3-4 months before I met you where I really made that pivot, because it in theory, it made sense. In reality, A, how do you get it in there? B, so how do you fill the tube in a mass scale? Extremely difficult. B, you're shipping water, which is really freaking expensive. C, you got to go in a refrigerated case for most people, which is, again, more expensive than sitting in the middle of the store. Like, it's just so. But the reason I say that is like you have to be able to admit when you're wrong and when you absolutely are at your wit's end.
Yep.
Right. And I was like, we would not be talking right now if it was that. What's up?
Pivot quick and move on.
Exactly. What else do you have for January, Matt? I know we're going over.
No, I think that those are the highlights for us. I think that I'm excited for February to see a couple things come to life on the marketing side of what we're doing. And really, I think what we're really gearing up for is March and the new packaging and the new product, and just not relaunching, but just having something new and exciting and fun to blast all over the place. So I think we should wrap this up. We've gone quite a while already.
Hey, but you know what? It was good, and it was a lot more fun than
getting kicked in the head.
Yeah, and having to deal with you when the cameras aren't on. So, no, all joking aside, we appreciate it. Thanks for sticking with us. We'll catch you up in March and fill you in on what happens this month and how the things shake out with Amazon and e-commerce. And stoked that you listened. Can't wait to hear from you. As always, reach out if you got questions, comments, concerns. We want to hear from you.
Take care. See ya.
Peace.